So I can't leave my brothers out, you know what I'm saying? I gotta address the females, gotta also address the males, you know, because, you know, we're the spearheads. The men are the spearheads, but in our culture, a lot of the times, we rely on the women to be our heads, our leaders. Wrap it up.
No, I'm saying, tell them to sign up for the
open mic list is in Corinna's hand. Anybody who wants to win $100, $50, or even $25, you got a shot to win, sign up on the list. So I got two more pieces that I'm going to get out your hair. This next piece, Little Nasty Girl. And I use this word to explain a mentality. Okay, there's a word that has been put on us as a people that, of course, has really taken on a life with the song. But I hope that you see that it is something that explains a segment that has a mental pathology. They have a mental illness, okay? So the name of the poem is called Little Nappy Head Nigga, okay? Usually I get like a lot of shots, like, oh my goodness. It goes like this. It's a little story, just like that. Little nappy head nigga. He's a critter who never had a chance from day one. This raisin in the sun, raised in the slums, lives by the gun and will more than likely die from a bullet wound inflicted by the hands of another little nappy head nigga. Of the swastika-tatted, deputized neo-Nazi fascist law official representing figure who worships Adolf Hitler. Baby boy grown into a bitter Negro, weary from the game, man. Where the only rule is survival. And the most viable use for pages of the Bible is to spread the herb, twist, spark, it blaze. So it's a damn shame how this young thug's trapped in the projects like a lab rat in a maze. Filled with rage, his only thoughts of rehabilitation are in the concrete cage. Or the grave. Little nappy head nigga is a fifth generation descendant of an enslaved African who never allows his mind to travel back to them. So as his life passes him, he'll never see the legacy of resistance that his forefathers left for him, only a vicious cycle of death. So what's left for him is the absence of the reality that Malcolm, Marcus, and Martin willingly gave up their breath for him, sole control of his own space and time. But he's become the true American psycho, brainwashed, taken out of his mind, stripped of his identity, and given the perpetual title of B.O.Y., branded, owned, and yoked, boy. Then employed by the government to exterminate his own kind by infecting his sisters with HIV, and against his brothers committing malicious acts of HATE, and you can BET that to the systems program and design. He's blind, uncut. For all blacks entertained by television are ignorant to the signs, so never will he find the remedy for all his pain, because the quest he seeks is purely for monetary gain, slanging crack cocaine to the villagers who also seek for nirvana, but end up with their lifeline cut short like Kurt Cobain, robbed of their prana. Because a dead-old pillager is the devil's work for sure and plain, but when asked by his mama to reconsider his course and beware his fate, he tells me he has no desire to be conscious. It's too much work for my brain. So it's too late for this little nappy head nigga who is a out-of-control urban warfare guerrilla, forced to be reckoned with on the scale of Godzilla, gorilla, programmed sociopathological killer, strapped with AKs to enforce his rape, prodigal and pompous, surrounded by a vicious crew more venomous than 22 black mambas, slithering around town with 11 baby mamas and 13 seeds, all illegitimate. Surrounded by drama, which is just a byproduct of his misdeeds, morally indigent. As tomorrow's blood, he stays spilling it with the soul on ice and conscience seared as if with hot rod, numb with no living thought of, oh my God. So guilt, he's never feeling it. Yet between death and life, he's spliced. The result of constant negativity and vice. Though subconsciously aware that one day he'll have to pay the price for his misconduct, he stays corrupt to the core. Plus, he keeps his mind clouded by weed smoke to cloak and ignore the madness that surrounds, while around his throat an unseen hand chokes the hope out of his body until he fades out into the utter blackness and eternally falls down, down, down. But get this, it's out of the abyss of blackness that his greatness must ascend. Like his ancestors who rose from the bows of slave ships despite the conditions they were faced with and forced in. It becomes too much for him when their cries fill his dreams, haunted screams, he fights to keep his eyes open and not fall asleep, because he's terrified by the visions of violent ghosts that visit him at night, covered in white sheets, spreading terror through his hood. Tormented by the apparitions, but masquerading around as if everything was all good, claiming he wouldn't obey civil rights even if he could, and that he'd rather fall victim to the streets instead of meet the penile, boasting that he's got a right to be hostile. Meanwhile, he remains unclean like a herd of swine dined upon by infidel Gentiles. Plus, he ranks top in the percentile of juvenile delinquents sentenced to incarceration instead of receiving the congratulations of graduation, which are the nation's clear effects of the miseducation of the Negro. So lie, vile, and evil is this little nappy head nigga, who is a river that flows to break down the unity of the community like bile in the belly of the beast. A 40-ounce swigger, menace to society, marked by impiety, unleashed to raise a ruckus in the streets, but pay off the police to ease up off the beat, yet supply his team with product and heat into the enemies competing for the #1 seat are deceased. So that vicious cycle of death, it just repeats. And the cannibals of the concrete jungle continue to eat the dark meat of every little nappy head nigga. You